Let's do one more word problem, drawing out a picture. Okay, so here I've got an airplane climbs at an angle of 13 degrees with the ground. So let's take a look at that first sentence and see what we can draw from there. If you've ever seen an airplane take off, where am I? Where am I? Here we go. If you've ever seen an airplane take off, you've got the ground right over here. Let me draw my little airplane buddy. Like that. There's the wing. There's the other wing. That's where the pilot goes. All right, that's a good enough drawing. It's pretty beautiful. I know. When you have an airplane taking off, it doesn't just go straight up into the air like a rocket ship. It runs along the ground for a little bit and then eventually gets enough lift and it kind of takes off. So here, when I'm thinking about this, an airplane climbs at an angle of 13 degrees. Climbing is just another way to say, all right, it's going up at an angle when it starts to get off the ground. It's going up at an angle of 13 degrees right over here. All right. What is the distance traveled to the nearest feet? Let's take a look at that next little bit. What is the distance traveled? So the airplane, when it's flying, it's not flying along this bottom line over here. Uh-oh, my camera, it froze. Let's go. Come on, here we go. It doesn't travel along the ground, it's actually traveling along this line. So when it's asking, what is the distance that my plane has traveled? It wants to know the distance along this line over here. And so if that's what I'm looking for, I will put X because that's what I want to know. And then next, it says, all right, what is the distance traveled when it has attained an altitude of 400 feet? Whew! When it has attained an altitude of 400 feet. Attained just means you got an altitude. So how far have I traveled when I've got an altitude of 400 feet? Altitude, this word here just means height. It's how high I've gone. So that's asking for not how far along the ground I've gone, but an altitude is, all right, I want to see what my distance is once I've gained an altitude or attained an altitude of 400 feet over here. Ooh, sorry for smacking the camera there. And here we go, we've drawn it, right? Here's my airplane. It's taken off at that 13-degree angle. I want to know the distance that I've traveled in the plane, so it's going to be, actually following the line the plane's traveling. Once I've attained an angle or an altitude of 400 feet. Again, altitude is measuring from the bottom of the ground straight up, so that means I get to say, here's a right angle right here. And so I've got a right triangle, I've got an angle, opposite side, and a hypotenuse. You can do the SOH problem. Hopefully that was helpful in just getting a thought process of how you go about drawing these pictures for these things, because if you come across all these words, it can be kind of scary at first. But just take it one part at a time. Airplane comes off the ground, 13-degree angle. So there's my airplane coming off the ground. What's the distance traveled? Figure out which line I'm talking about, the ground or that. Once it's got a height of 400 feet. And it's just, once I have a height of 400 feet. And you draw all those bits one part at a time, and you just get a very simple right triangle like we've seen before. All right, I hope that was helpful.